It's past 6 is the time, and this is the Breakfast Show. It's live on Ghana Television. We're live on the internet at gbcghanaonline.com. My name is George Sapo. We're continuing with our conversation we've been having for the past 3 weeks concerning issues with disability and social protection. Today, the issues with disability and mental health. Today, we're actually focusing on two issues. We're focusing on social protection for persons with disability or living with disability. And then we'll look at the Disability Act 2. So I have in the studio next to me Mrs. Gertrude Oforiwa Fefuame.
Thank you.
She's a member of the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disability, also a Global Social Inclusion Advocacy Advisor of Sight Savers, then President of the Council for Education of Persons or People with Visual Impairment. Ms. Gertrude, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're
good.
Thank
you. I'm very good. And you?
I think I'm very well too. Thank you very much for joining us. We also have with us Dr. Wisdom Kojo Mpra, and he's a senior lecturer at the Center for Disability and Rehabilitation Studies, Department of Health Promotion and Disability at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And welcome. Clement Sam is going to help us with a lot of interpretation. So he's doing the sign language for us to communicate with Clement, and then he will also be giving us feedbacks too. So Clement Sam is seated right to my right here. All right, so let's start off with the conversation. Gertrude, how has it been? I mean, with your operations and all your jobs that you do.
It's been interesting. Quite challenging, but fulfilling.
Okay. What makes it that quite challenging?
Challenging because we've been working on and on and on, and it's like when we move forward one step, you go two steps back. And that is frustrating.
Okay.
And worse when COVID even came in.
Can you imagine? All right. Let me move to Doc. Doc, how has it been? I mean, with what you do and your operation so far?
I said I'm a lecturer.
Well, like you said,
I'm a lecturer at KNUST.
KNUST.
It's fine. I found a job.
It's a good
I like
job.
teaching.
I love teaching.
The pandemic also affected
But
us.
of course, the
Has put a lot
COVID
of pressure
came in
on
and it's not so
us.
pleasant.
Yes. So I came from Kumasi this morning.
So this morning,
Oh, you just arrived?
Yes.
So what time did you leave Kumasi?
I joined the bus around 10 o'clock.
10 last night.
Around 10 o'clock, yes. Yes.
That's right, last night.
And how was the
Just
journey?
around 10 o'clock, and then I arrived here around 4.
4 a.m.
Then continue to the GBC.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. And how was the journey?
Oh yes, I slept in bus. I woke up and I realized we're in what must Accra.
Accra. But you've been to Accra before, right?
Yes. Yeah, I visited Accra.
You visited Accra. Okay. We are going to talk about the Disability Act and then the social protection. So we'll start off first with the Disability Act. Then later on, as we move on, we'll move into social protection. Let me start with you, Madam Gertrude. The Act as we have it now, what is the challenge with it?
Thank you very much. The Act as it now is not compliant with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which is more elaborated. For instance, our Act now has no provision for women and girls with disabilities.
Has no provision for women and girls?
No, it is not in the current Act. How we missed it, please don't ask.
That's what I'm going
But
to
we
ask.
don't have it. We also don't have one important thing, for instance, such as reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation is the provision given to an individual to be able to access education, access open job employment, access life. And it's a discriminatory issue. But our current bill doesn't have it. There are quite a bit more.
Reasonable
but
accommodation.
Yes.
And there's none also for women and children and
No.
girls too.
Just
Right.
to mention this.
Let's focus on the women and girls.
Why we didn't have it?
Is it that there's a focus on men or there's a whole general aspect on disability that covers both men and women and children too?
Okay. So, women and girls, in general society, not only in Ghana or even Africa, are disadvantaged.
Okay.
They are least educated, they don't have voices, they are least employed, they are pushed to the background. And people with disability are also pushed to the background. So if you are a woman or a girl with disability, then you are several folds left in development, in human rights observation, in education, in assessing opportunities to make you progress in development in equal basis with your counterparts.
Okay.
So without specific measures and attention to break that gap, because the women are so low, then we are not going to be a par as a woman with disability or a girl with disability with men and boys with disability, nor women and girls without a disability. And we lose out completely. So it is that important element.
So how did we miss this as a country?
I'm not too sure. One thing is that the Ghana Disability Act was enacted in 2006. The UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities was also in 2006. So, but the Ghana discussions had started 10 years back. For the Ghana discussion started around the CBR, the rehabilitation processes in 2001, 1993. Because if you knew, there was a Ghana policy on disability in 2000. So those discussions started before. And then also, what we are even experiencing now, as we are revising the act, you draft, you submit, then it's revised. They come back and tell you the Attorney General or the Parliament or this or that. It got to a time for 10 years we were tired. So we just said, you know what? Let this pass, and then we can gather momentum again. And I'm saying this because I was part of it.
Okay.
So it's not like I've been told. I knew it.
You knew it.
But that day, in fact, I whispered to some of my colleagues, say, this is not good enough, you know. I said, you know what? Getty. Yeah, brawai. My young queen.
Okay, let me move to Doc here. Same question I asked Gertrude. What's the challenge with the current Disability Act that we have? She mentioned no provision for women and girls, and also the reasonable accommodation, which I'll come to her later for better explanation on that. What else is the challenge with the act that we need to work on?
Yes, as she said, the current act has some gaps. You know, Ghana is part of the global community, and whatever we do here must align with global standards. But there are a lot of things missing in our act. Currently, the document that we use is the UN Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disability. There's the global document, the international document. It means our act should have some alignment with that document. But there are a lot of things missing in our act. It means that we are doing something different. What we're doing here will not match with international standards. Ghana will be reporting annually on what it's doing in the implementation of the convention, and our act should be the guide to help us implement provisions in the convention. And if it is not aligned with the convention, it means our reporting will be a problem. Yes, and
is it that we miss those provisions genuinely, or we just didn't care?
I think the first draft, that was our first draft. We are new to some of the history. I don't think it's deliberate. We didn't know. Our act came into being before even Ghana signed the convention. So it's like we didn't know. And then when the convention came in, we realized the two are not the same. There is something missing in our act, so we must do something about it.
And in trying to do something about it, how easy or difficult has that been?
Yeah, it is not easy. It's difficult. In fact, before we even started doing something about that, there were a lot of issues. Whether we should really do something about that, whether we should use the current act or we should what, change it. Well, there were two opposing. Some say we should just keep it and then continue, and then later when we come in, someone say we should even throw it away. So that is one issue. Very difficult. How do we do it? Make the amendment to it. It requires funding support. Yeah, so this has been very, very difficult. But the bill, the amendment bill, should have been done long time, but it's stuck. So I know the pandemic is one of the issues, but resources, resources to help what draft the bill is a major issue.
Resources to even draft the bill is a major issue. With the current Disability Act that we have, how is the implementation process like? Knowing very well that we don't even have an eye to it.
Yes, implementation has been very, very, very slow, and very slow. And I don't know if anything has been done at all. You know, the state is responsible for guaranteeing our rights, protecting our, providing our rights, and punish offenders for what? Violation of this right. But the state is the major offender of the right.
I know, right?
Yes, and this is the paradox. Yes. So, how do we go at this? So, and the other issue is that the community, I mean the disability community, we have not been proactive enough. Sometimes we wait until the things put out before we start complaining. You see, the building will be up, the cars will be imported, the roads will be constructed before we start complaining. Our lobbying has not been very effective. The approach has been something like reactionary instead of proactive. Yes, that's our challenge. Also, the resources. Resources to what conduct public education. People need to understand the act. They need to know that there is an act that we have to protect some people's rights, and they need to know how to implement the act. But the education has been very slow. In fact, not that many people don't know how the act. So this has been what some of the challenges with the country.
Okay. It's the Breakfast Show here on Ghana Television. Check with the time. It's about, let's say, 20 minutes to 7 is the time. And we are having a conversation. This is a conversation we've been having for the past 3 weeks as a major discussion on Thursday mornings. Our focus is on mental health issues and issues concerning disability. We've had a couple of conversations in the past focusing on access and other areas. Today we are looking at the Disability Act and then issues concerning social protection. So I have here in the studio Mrs. Gertrude Oforiwa Afefuame and also Dr. Wisdom Kojo-Mbia. And Clement Sam is just by my side here helping us with the sign language interpretation for Dr. Wisdom Kojo-Mbia. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're just going for a quick break. Our third guest will join us. We'll be right back.
Church is a reflection of God's beauty, character, and nature. The glorious church is God's workmanship, created for good works, light for a dark world, and salt for the earth. The glorious church must be pure and impactful, for it is the only institution mandated to bring life and hope to the nations. Plug in to the annual theme of the Church of Pentecost for 2020, a glorious church to possess the nations. Come, let us drink deep from the word through which we are being cleansed and washed to become a radiant church. Welcome to Pentecost Hour, God's timely word for our dying world.
Do you want to have an encounter with God? Are you hungry for God's word and for signs of His transforming power in your life? If you need a touch from the Almighty, make a date with Positive Hour only on GTV every Tuesday morning. Join the General Overseer of the Positive Gospel Church, Reverend Frank Odoi Sarkodie, and his vibrant congregation every Tuesday at 5:30 a.m. only on GTV. You can also worship with Positive Gospel International Church at all their branches in and outside Ghana at these times. Positive Hour. Get a touch from God only on GTV.
Once again in Diamond Diagnostic Center, we solve all your health problems such as prostate problems, infertility, you've been married for so long and no fruit of the womb, low sperm count, stomach ulcer, fibroid, liver and kidney problems. If you have all these problems and more, do make a date with Dr. Marina on Health Solution for deep medical science facts and home remedy.
From September 1st, Ghana is going 100% paperless at the port.
No, we are here for all of us are interested, not for any individual interest.
As for paperless, no dear. But we need more education.
Any situation which throws light is a good situation. Iron Port is a perfect intervention.
Iron Port is also adding to the growth of the countries going forward in development.
Iron Port has come to upgrade and promote the industry.
Iron Ports, showing this and every Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on GTV. Iron Ports, transparency in doing business and building nation. Proudly brought to you by
Hello and welcome to the Helping Hand TV show with me, the voice of ability on air for persons with disability. The Helping Hand is an initiative of the H4P organization where we seek to throw the spotlight on the abilities of persons with disability. The greatest limitations we put on ourselves become the greatest limitations of our lives. If we don't limit ourselves, we can do anything, we can be anything.
I see that there are more abilities lying behind my disability.
And like I say, disability indeed is not inability.
The Helping Hand TV show with the Bishop, showing this and every Saturday at 6 p.m. on GTV, DSTV channel 278 and on our social media platforms.
All right, welcome back, and it's a breakfast show here on Ghana Television. We're live on the internet at gbcghanaonline.com, and it's a conversation we're having this morning, and it's usually the bigger one, or the bigger frame itself is the Somi Bijimwedi, which are issues and organization issues that deals with mental health issues and issues concerning disability. Today, we are focusing on the Disability Act and also social protection. So I have with me Mrs. Gertrude Oforiwa Fofuyame. She's seated next to me, a member of the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disability, Global Social Inclusion Advocacy Advisor of Sight Savers, and also the President Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment. Then we also have next to her, Adjoa. Adjoa joined us for our first discussion. Adjoa Amponsa Dapa, and she works with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. She's also a legal practitioner with SHRAJ. The next to Adjoa is Dr. Wisdom Kojo Mpra. He's a senior lecturer at the Center for Disability and Rehabilitation Studies, Department of Health Promotion and Disability, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Let me continue with you, Auntie Getty. You earlier talked about the challenge with the Disability Act. You touched on two issues. The no provision for women and girls. The second one has got to do with reasonable accommodation.
Yes.
Let's touch on the reasonable accommodation. When you talk about reasonable accommodation, what exactly do you mean?
Thank you very much. So let me start explaining reasonable accommodation from accessibility.
Okay.
So accessibility is that kind of provision that enhances participation by everybody. So it could be environmental, such as physical ramps, lifts, those kind of things. Communication, such as sign language interpretation, captioning. It could be information, such as digital, braille, audio. It could be transportation, so that it's made and everybody could use, including somebody who has a physical disability. But this is for everybody, and including persons with disabilities. But there are certain peculiar needs that individual persons, so it varies from one person to the other. And because that person requires that provision in order for the person to participate equally as others, then it needs to be provided. So it's an individual base. And the approach is that the individual identifies the need, discusses that I need it for my education, or I need it for my job placement, or I need it in order to be able to be admitted at the hospital. If I don't have that facility or that support services, my admission at the hospital won't work. Then it has to be provided. And this is very important because in education it comes in employment it's very critical, in social life it is important, in participation such as elections, every facet of life, reasonable accommodation comes in. So a typical example, I, Getty Ofurua, for me, was born before computer.
I agree.
Computer came to meet me on the way. So I've learned to be computer literate. But I admit that my efficiency in computer literacy is what I can manage with. There's a certain extent that I'm not able to efficiently and effectively manage to get to the high productivity that is my employment is required. So I need a person. I don't need only a personal assistant to walk about with. That is basic for everybody who is blind. Especially in a large community like Accra. In smaller communities, people can manage but in Accra, like, for instance, with the gutters and the rough road and everything, you need a personal assistant. But I need a skilled, competent person that would let me be proficient and deliver. So if you employ me, I will ask you, I need quote unquote a PA. And even if you thought that capacity, that position did not require a PA for Getty, I need a PA. And once you give me the PA, trust me, you get me deliver.
So once you get the PA, you don't even get that technological assistance in terms of the computer and the IT system around. You're okay with that?
No, the IT is accessibility. Every visually impaired person would have to access a laptop, either with a speech display or a braille display. So it's an accessibility mechanism for every visually impaired person. And it differs. If the person is low vision, a different facility is there. If the person is totally blind, a different facility is there. So that is basic. You need to provide me. Because if you don't provide me, then I don't even type at all. But in addition, then I need a personal, a PA. Not, the professional PA. Not the personal assistant, the person who works with me. So that is my job. And that's how I have to take my job for how many? All these years.
Adjoa, we're focusing on the Disability Act, and I find out from the two of them what the challenge now is with the current act that we have. Same question to you. What's the challenge with the act now?
Well, first of all, the Disability Act 715 is currently being reviewed by the AG department. So very soon it's gonna go to Parliament, and then we're gonna see it, being debated as to whether or not we should accept it. The now Disability Act. So right now, all we can talk about is the old Disability Act.
Yeah.
Now, let me give you a typical example. Now, one of the challenges of the old
Disability
Act, it is called Act 715. I'm going to be using that a lot. Act 715. Now, first of all, let me ask you a rhetorical question. How many Ghanaians have actually seen me or seen anybody with any intellectual disability attaining a level like myself? 2, what do we do to parents, women, mothers, who give birth to children with disabilities, as well as persons with disability who are women and who are actually working and who have kids? The old one does not get up for that. Right now, about 10% of our population now is actually 10% of the whole population of Ghana is affiliated to disability. You see, there's one issue about Ghana. The disability does not pertain to those born with it. Now, at a point in time, for example, when you're looking at the street and then you get knocked down by a car, what happens? So this debate of disability should have been, in fact, it should have been something so mega. Because at the end of the day, when you get knocked down by a car, you're physically challenged.
Yeah.
When you get stroke, you're challenged of disability.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So there are so many things that the old one did not cater for. For instance, I actually work out with disability. My employer has provided me what makes me effectively and productively produce. Work in my community, work in my organization. But yes, so nothing whatsoever. Even about school, common school. God forgive me, but common school. Common education. Children like myself, autism, Down syndrome, Asperger's syndrome, they say you're done. Now, the act is it's a criminal offense to turn down a child with a disability. But yes, so what do we see?
Schools do that.
Thank you.
And nothing happens to them.
Nothing happens to them. The law says that when you come in, they will get your name. When you come in, they will get your name. I can find you. I'll go to a term of 3 months. Like what if happened to the name? Kevin Polo. That is the least.
Yeah.
That's it. The laws are there plenty, but I can think by father. Say, I as a person living with disability, there are so many mishaps. Because time is running, time and error is going up. Now, 2006 is going to be 2021.
It's true.
What my mom here was saying about access to information, computer, the internet, she was, in fact, she came to me, she came before the era of the internet. So that means that her access to information could be hindered, because if you did not provide the necessary accoutrement, the necessary ingredient for her to access information, how does she work? The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Health, first of all, even the common man, forgive me, going to use the common man. Free education. By law, I need to have free education.
Yes.
As well as free general and special health care, which will be provided by the Ministry of Health.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we have partners with living with disability, going to hospital and paying a different amount of money. Some of the kids, the cases are too many.
I get that. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that the Attorney General is working on the amendment. How long has that been?
Well, the technical team was set up, I think, last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Ghana, bureaucracy, it takes a long time.
That's the issue now.
It takes a long time. I mean, look at the Company Act, the old one, at 179, which was, I think, replaced by Act 992 just recently, 2019. Look at the time period, 1963 and 2019. So when it comes to amendment is much more easier. But then, based on certain factors like bureaucracy, I'm praying that at least this one day we will wait.
I guess.
They just speed it up for.
Yeah. Let me move to Doc here. Doc, what response would you give to someone who argues that, well, the country has a lot of I won't say priorities though, but a lot of things confronting them, like a pandemic. So why should a country even focus on any amendment of a Disability Act now?
The bill, even the bill, yeah, the bill was started before the virus came. We started, but for the virus, we will have finished long time. But even if we are beginning now, it's very necessary to do so, because we are moving on. Despite the pandemic, we have not stopped anything. So we need it. But we need it, particularly in this time, because the virus has exposed, has shown a lot of things. One, we all have rights. We all have rights. And the pandemic, during the pandemic, a lot of things happened. That we saw that those who are marginalized, those who are excluded, they suffer more than those who are not marginalized. And persons with disability or disabled persons are one of the groups that are marginalized, excluded. So during the pandemic, we had a lot of issues, protection. Protecting against the virus, providing us with the services that we need. So we need something to guide us that during what conflict, during what a disaster, this how to handle this group of people. We don't have any in Ghana for disabled persons. So the way we handle during the conflict, the virus, yes, was all about bad. We were neglected. The same person was neglected. But if you look at you see that the same person form a large percentage of people in what poor people, and relief, government relief went to what poor persons, but they didn't target us. Maybe there's nothing to guide them, to tell them that this is how the people live, this is their problem, and this is how they should be served. So there was nothing. So we're not targeted, and a lot of our disabled persons suffered. So we need something, a law, that will guide policy makers that during a disaster or humanitarian crisis, this is the way this group of people should be handled. Yes, so we need something to guide it. But now we don't have anything, so how do we handle them? We don't know. We don't know, yes. Okay. So we need something that will guide us.
All right. And that something is being worked on now?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the law. But as I said, we started it before. Okay. But if you have that law, it means during what such crisis, disaster, we have something there to help us serve the people.
Okay. Yes. Let me move to Ajo. Ajo, I wanted to add something.
Yeah, I wanted to add what my dear Dr. Mpa was saying. First of all, the question is, who is more than a Ghanaian based because on a disability? Me having a disability does not make me less a Ghanaian than you, an able person. So if you're able to pass certain laws, certain bylaws in this pandemic, what is stopping you from doing so now? What the comparison is already in the old act. So what if there is no excuse whatsoever? There is no excuse. It is like, everything happening with disability means that you're being given handouts. Pity party. I think that is what we deserve. And I get so angry. And the fact that, listen, I'm first of all a person before my disability. For instance, glaucoma. If you have glaucoma in one community, it is considered as a disability. But in another community, it is not a disability because, first of all, in a community, the person is being given corrective lenses. So then you don't even come in. What should Ghana waste all the beautiful law that we have pertaining to the afternoon fact? You sit down and then you can debate on certain issues of little important. And then I feel to beg you. I get so emotional about it.
I understand.
I'm a human being fed to my disability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I understand. Let me move to Antigati. Antigati, I mean, the issue with the Disability Act, well, as I would like us to put it, the old one and the ones that is being worked on. When it comes to implementation, how did we handle implementation? And in answering the question concerning implementation, are we sure that if we get the new one, we will not be faced with the same implementational challenges that we face with the old one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we come to your question, let me just try and give a simple example of reasonable accommodation as it could be for every day.
Sure.
So I am a child with disability in a mainstream school in my village. And then during examination time, I want some more time in order to be able to answer the same number of questions that my colleagues are answering.
And that's not given you?
And then if you are denied, does it make sense?
Is this happening?
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It does.
In law school,
yes.
It does. So the person's, that extra time is what that individual require in order to meet the challenge. And it is that person's reasonable accommodation.
Just hold on
if you are employing me in a new establishment, and although pavement is accessibility, a physical issue, but because I am coming in, I need that pavement in order to come to that office. That becomes my reasonable
provide that equal
accommodation.
accessibility to you. Let's just hold on for me. Ajo, you went to cite an example. Spoke about the examination.
Law school, friend.
Yes.
Okay, when I was in law school.
Yes.
The postgrad law.
Yes.
I literally had to fight for extra time. When you know very well that I have a disability, and then because of that disability, I should be given certain time, extra time, even extra time to submit my assignment. But can you imagine the times when I go to the examination now? The ability do not even know. So I know I'm question 2, and if you get pulled the paper for me without action, I have to physically be able to fight.
In law school.
I'm telling you, sir.
Which school is that?
I don't want to mention it.
No, mention it. No, but you know, this. If we are talking about issues concerning the law, and an institution that's supposed to actually train people with regards to the law, is actually doing stuff like this. I mean,
in as much as
yes,
you're wrong. Sorry. Yeah, my alma mater.
They are, in as much as they are wrong, they are alma mater. So you don't want to talk.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes things happen. I remember, for instance, when I remember Christopher, you know,
Yeah.
Christopher, when I wanted to enter GIMPA for my master's degree.
Yes.
The first letter I received was that I had not been granted admission. And I was suspicious. I just couldn't imagine.
Because
why.
you thought you were qualified to get
Yes.
admission. Yeah.
So I went there.
Okay, you went to GIMPA.
I went to meet and met the deputy director.
Okay.
And said, I introduced and said, could you explain why I should not be admitted? And so, madam, not really, but we got to understand that we're a visually impaired person and we don't have the facilities. And so, are you right at this age, at this time, to deny me? Because you have not done the provision. But madam, we don't want to suffer. I said, but do you want me to have the experience? So can we come to a compromise? I know what it is. Because I've been in this advocacy, I'm a trainee, I'm blah, 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 blah. So I know that sometimes some of these things cannot be set up before the need comes. And again, reasonable accommodation. What I will require to do my studies may not be exactly what every visually impaired person will require. So the policy should be that every visually impaired person can access education in this institution. Then whenever the person enters, so can we negotiate? I am willing to take you through the process of getting a student with visual impairment in this institution. And we did it.
Okay.
So, in fact, before I even entered, and I've done it again with Akrofi Crystal Institute of Mission and Culture in the Eastern region, where they were also interested that I'll come. For them, they didn't deny me at all. You know what, you don't have it, but please, we'd be happy if you can help us establish it.
Yeah.
So after I left, somebody else has entered. But as for the first one, yes, so before each case, before the class starts, I even become a resource person. I bring a resource person to educate the whole staff, the teachers, the students, and then what engagement, what assistance. So, for instance, in GIMPA, both institutions actually, they employed somebody to offer me some assistance. They couldn't do all, but some assistance that I provided, I needed. And then the adjustment of time and for assignment and time for examination. So, for instance, at that time, most people were submitting their exams in handwriting, but I presented mine in typing. It was accepted and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, the advocacy has to go with practice, and these things have to come in. But coming to the point of implementation.
Yes.
So you see, one of the reasons why we are wanting to align the Ghana Disability Act to the UN Convention is that it's more elaborated. It covers more. It has general comment that expands the legal provisions, but it also has a clear monitoring mechanism. So although one might not come and, unlike the UN, where a state will come and say, I'm here, dialogue me, ask me questions, and, in Ghana might not do that. But the clear indications that the convention provides, together with the Sustainable Development Goals, putting them to the indicators together, will help us to monitor better.
Okay.
So that it's a state responsibility to do things that they need to do. But we have also known that without our continued advocacy and sometimes demonstrating some of the things that need to be done, like Somi Jujumodi is doing now. We are demonstrating by this, but we are also on the field doing other research and other things to bring the evidence to tell state that this is what the situation is, so that we can put the two together and to it's hard, I must say, but we are hoping that the education, as we are doing now, and the education also, one other thing I've observed is that we, the advocates, we are not that many. We, the advocates of people with disability ourselves, we are not that many. We are not that many because majority of us are denied their well-being, their basic survival, their basic recognition, the stigma that they suffer, reduce them to the extent that they don't even want to have a voice. They are taught to believe they are good for nothing, and that there's no worth of them existing. So they are not challenging the systems in the villages and the districts and the regions enough. So only few of us are advocating, and unfortunately, state systems, structures are sort of denying, refusing to hear and act promptly. So we are going to strengthen the advocacy. We are going to demand with evidence, and we're going to align using the mechanisms that the CRPD and the SDG offers to show better, because now we have clearer ways to demonstrate it.
All right, Doc, same question on the implementation. To ensure that the challenges that the first document had, the first law had, regards to implementation, this current one that's still being worked on will not be faced with the same challenges when it comes to implementation. What do we do?
Again. So you should ask the question again.
Okay, I'm asking whether when it comes to implementation, what do we do differently moving forward with the new law that is being worked on, so that the challenges that the old act suffered, this new one will not go through it when it comes to implementation?
Yes, if we don't change our strategy, we'll face the same problems. See, the current law, when it was passed, we didn't do anything. Well, we started complaining that there's no LI. There's no LI. So we're waiting for the LI to implement it. Then we started doing something on the LI. Then we stopped. And the next thing is that the law is not consistent with the UN Convention. But we could have we could have done, use it in a way, yes. But what have we done? You see, our lobbying has been very, very, very weak. Yes. So if we, the community, the civil community, if we don't act, if we don't fight, you see, yes, rights are not just giving. You need to fight for them. If they are just giving, then we don't even need the law. You see. So the new law, if it is passed and we don't fight, we don't lobby, it will never succeed. The other thing is about public education. More than 10 years now, if you go around and ask, even if you don't know anything about the law, those who know something about the law don't know how to implement the law. So the new law, if it's passed and we just sit down and think that when there's a document spelling out our rights that this should be done, that's okay. Then it will never work. We need to have a lobby, fight, struggle for it to work. Yeah.
All right. The strategy too. Do you need a new institution, or to strengthen the existing institutions we have, to that strategy to lead this fight?
I think we have the institutions. We have the institution. We have the federation is there. You see, we spent a lot of time building capacity. The community, many of us, we already know our rights. What? To exercise those rights. Many people, so the capacity building, most of our activity, building capacity. Yes. Capacity. But how to act? You see, you taught me my rights, you showed me my rights, now I know my rights. But it's creating problem for many people. Because previously people didn't know their rights, so they didn't care. Now you have found that I have a right to exercise, I have a right to enjoy these things, but the barriers are so there. I cannot skip them, I can't deal with the barriers, and that's creating the problem. So there are churches that are saying to change. We need to fight struggle. So including the federation, working with their partners like the Commission of Human Rights and Justice and the ministry. Yes, we need to fight. Yes, as I said, rights are not given.
Just given.
Yes, you can't sit down and say that because there's a document, a very beautiful document, it what something happened. No.
All right. Okay. Yes, Auntie Getty.
Yeah, thank you. I think I would wish to add a bit more to Dr. Pratt's point.
Sure.
Yes. So, to a reasonable extent, we as persons with disabilities, and I stress a reasonable extent, understand we are not being given what we do as. But in order to move forward, a bit more emphasis will now have to go into the state and the private sector systems. Because of change of government, change of positions. So you work, you start. I mean, I won't go far. We are expected to have systems to work, but it doesn't work so easily. So, Honorable Otiko Jaba, we worked with her. In the middle, we have to work with Cynthia. Now, we have to go to Honorable, in fact, I'm yet even to go introduce myself as CRPD member to Honorable Adwoa Safo.
Have you met her?
No.
Okay.
I'm yet, and I have to do that.
Have you met her yet, Adwoa?
No.
Okay. Dr. Ambia, have you also met the current minister?
No.
Okay.
So you start the processes and these changes. So a lot of work is ongoing. And I say this because from all the sectors, Somi Bijumedi, Federation as he mentioned, site savers, those who have come and gone, CBM, count them. And there are also service, these changes stall down the process. So you start all over again. We have wanted, for instance, to work on a caucus on disability at Parliament to facilitate the existing system. We haven't been successful.
Why haven't you been successful?
One, there's some explanation that it's not a core structure of Parliament.
Really?
It's not a core structure that disability comes under social
protection,
whatever.
Social welfare.
There is a broader. I'm not missing. I'm sorry, I'm missing the correct. But there is a committee responsible, and we are not explaining that committee is not functioning sufficiently. But because of the degree of neglect, of discrimination, of stigmatization, of misconception, if we got another group to add on, so that we hit more and try to raise awareness, and then the voices are there to add on when issues are raised. But we haven't been successful. And then you are in the middle of it, a new parliament will come. Then we start all over again. Then also resources is also a challenge in the disability activism. The resources are limited. So the people who are able to invest the time and the energy and who have the skills to do the effective advocacy is also, if you go to the Ghana Freedom of Disability organizations today, you'll be sad at the number of employees who are there.
Let's move on. I'm just going to be my final stretch of questions. I'm going to start with you, Ajwab. And Pastor Jerry Mate, who is watching us on Facebook, has set the tone for us. It's got to do with the District Assembly Common Fund and the Disability Fund too. Pastor Jerry wants to find out, please, why is mental illness not part of the Disability Fund? Now, in setting that tone for us for this final stretch of questions, let's talk about District Assembly Common Fund and the Disability Fund too. What's the problem in there that we're still struggling to resolve? Ajwab, I'm starting with you. It's your laughter.
You see, the law is quite clear.
Yes.
But as to why a human being will take the law and not be able to decipher why it's as simple as ABC. When you're person in PWD, Master, go here and look for your money.
Yes.
Why the hell do you struggle? Because somebody else and I just District Assembly is sitting on the money saying that, oh, the money is finished. So the whole thing is, for instance, I will not agree with Obama.
You always do what?
I will not agree with what Obama said.
That what?
We don't need strong men.
We need strong institutions.
Thank you. The District Assembly should up the game. Why mental health is not my friend? My dear pastor, mental health is part of disability. It's part of it. It's good for it, man.
It's part of why we want the convention.
Yeah. It is part of it.
Yeah.
Who said it? Listen, ignorance of the law is no excuse.
It's no excuse.
There's a slogan in the court. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Mental health is part of disability. So, my dear, go to the District Assembly, demand for your man if you remember are simple.
Okay.
I'm tired.
You will be, actually. Look.
But the social protection system.
Same question, though, about...
This, yes, this is my first time hearing this. I think, yes, those with mental health conditions are part of the disability community and they are entitled to the fund. But maybe the district, in fact, and this is the challenge we are facing, some districts do not follow the guidelines. So maybe this applies to some districts, but those with mental health conditions are part of a common fund. Or maybe they are referring to those who are sitting on the road, those who do not have what? Someone to guide them, yes. Otherwise, every person with disability is what can benefit from the common fund. And they have a society, the Ghana Mental Health Society, the Mental Health Society of Ghana, they have that. And if the members are not benefiting, I thought they should have come to the mental health, the Federation or the NCPD to complain.
Is the 3% of the District Assembly Common Fund for the Disability Fund enough?
It's 40.
Even 10% would not be enough.
Yeah.
No, the whole
but
thing
it's because of the way we also use the letter that is given to us. Yes. It's the way we use the letter that is given to us. The way the cash is disbursed at the district level creates problem. The 3%, if everybody has access to it, then you know what be problem. But you have seen few people getting it again, and then others don't get anything at all. We have people who are teachers, I'm a teacher, and then I want to what? Advanced education, then I go in for what the common.
It's a big insult to my ego.
So the common fund.
Okay, let me have him to finish and I'll come to you.
Yes.
So the 3%, the 3% is not enough. If it is increasing, that will be very good. But if it is not the best, we'll still have a challenge.
A challenge with it. Okay.
It's
All
all
right.
fault.
Yes, Adjoa, briefly, let's hear from what you're going to say.
I was saying that even the 3%, no, the ask is that what you should give me. You should not put me in a position that would undermine my dignity as a human being. That 3%, no, it's not. It's an insult. Simple as ABC. It's an insult. If you can give the kind of money to the footballer,
Yeah.
look at the amount of money you give them.
I know, right? Yeah.
When you supposing that me, if I had not gotten my education number, would you come again? Yeah, you go somewhere, and then I set up, and then I'm like, oh, I'm a Ghanaian, yeah. Meanwhile, Ghana, they don't pay passport towards my education.
Yeah.
That's an insult, first of all. So the district family fund should be increased. Where will be 10%? In fact, it should be separate from the district
Assembly. Yeah.
Why? Why the why the D? Ya kosi line bisa dia. Ya kola na kosi ska.
How much is it? How much is it? How much?
Okay, no, it's not.
It is nothing to talk about.
It's not static either. Yeah, it's not. So you see, we have a challenge. The challenge is that if you look at it carefully, you don't know what the district common fund really is.
Yes.
You don't know whether it's a disability cost related situation, or it's an income replacement, or it's LEAP. Because you see, we are denied open job market.
Okay.
So as a person with disability, what is due to us is that because I don't have a job and I must survive, there should be a social protection scheme which gives me an income as a person. Then there should be also a scheme that takes care of my disability limitation issues. So whether I am in LEAP or it's a common fund, there is that element missing.
Yes, sir.
And then the common fund is none of the two. It is not enough. It's good that the guidelines is being elaborated. I'm hoping that it can give some clarity.
Okay.
But we need to streamline the social protection provision in Ghana. And that is why the bill is also important to explain. So that we know that we have to be employed.
Okay, we have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us and grateful for your time. And these are issues that we keep on talking about.
Yeah, we need
until we get a final solution to it. So Adjoa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then Auntie Getty, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Look, I'll give you just 10 seconds for your final words on behalf of everybody here that we can wrap up.
Yeah. Yes.
My final word
to our viewers, everybody, the state, the government, everybody watching us.
We should pass the bill.
We have rights. The same persons have rights.
Yeah. You do.
We shouldn't think that spending on us is is waste. We spend on animals, we spend on trees.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you.
But we are human beings.
Thank you. Yeah.
So government should budget for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll leave it here. Like I said the other time, that's last week. That's serious issues for us as a country to really talk about. Very serious issues that we need to talk about. And just like what Adjoa talked about, if she had not actually go out there to go train herself outside this country, would we be proud to really call her a Ghanaian or even get her services at the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice? So if we really want to have things like this happening, let's make society and institutions that friendly for all of us, so that people or the likes of Adjoa will not have to go outside to train themselves and become that better, but they can do same training here in Ghana. And it's not about the so-called big things we talk about. It's about attention and the role we give to people within this bracket who have mental health issues and who also have disability issues. If we can able to bring all of them on board then we are talking about development. But if we cannot, I'm sorry, we are not developing. We'll be right back. Stay with us.